I'm Kat Kalashian for Live and Invest Overseas. Have you heard of Cyprus? If you're from North America, you might not have, and that's perfectly okay. This Mediterranean island has been one of the most popular beach getaways in Europe for decades now, though. And Brits have been vacationing here and buying beach homes here for nearly 100 years. It's one of the best places in the world to make a profit from real estate investment at this moment. So today, let's get to know this little country a little bit better. Cyprus is in the far eastern corner of the Mediterranean. It's just about as far east as you can get before you leave Europe. It is blessed with year-round warm weather, blue waters, and over 400 miles of soft, sandy beaches. English is so commonly spoken, you'd never have to learn the local language, which would either be Greek or Turkish. So not an easy language to learn in either case. So luckily we can speak English there. And it's not that we would be imposing. In fact, locals use English amongst themselves. It's actually the lingua franca of the island between Greek and Turkish. So very well used language. The food here is kind of exactly what you'd expect of a Mediterranean island, especially one that's near Turkey and Greece. It's a perfect marriage of those two cultures and those two cuisines. So it's light and fresh, fish and salad with every meal. The coffee here is as famous as Turkish or Greek coffee is in either of their countries. Strong and aromatic, and locals are always ready to stop for a coffee, and usually iced coffee. In fact, they joked with me when I was there a few years ago that Starbucks thinks they invented the Frappuccino, but in fact, Cypriots invented the Frappuccino because they've been drinking iced coffee with a nice froth and some flavor in it for as long as they can remember. The fruit here is fresh and juicy. It is largely organic, especially if you're shopping in markets. That is when it's not being candied and put in local syrups and eaten as a rich dessert. It's actually the most popular dessert to be had in Cyprus is candied fruits that you'll get at the end of the meal. And they give you, it looks like a little seafood fork kind of, and you'll pop it into one of the fruits, pop it into your glass of water, and as you finish your meal, you drink your glass of water, which has become now all sweetened with the fruit and the syrups, and then you eat that fruit as the last bite. Very strong tradition here if you're eating Cypriot food. The flowers that blossom across the valleys are what you would expect from a place that has nearly year-round sunshine, probably more days of sunshine than almost anywhere else in the Med, I would think. And it's just a gorgeous scenery, no matter which direction you're looking here in Cyprus. The flowers give way to the valleys, give way to the mountains where you can ski in winter. I've rarely heard of places in the Mediterranean where you can go skiing, but this is one of them. And to top it off, this is as affordable as life gets in Europe. And I'm not just talking about Mediterranean island Europe. I'm talking about everywhere in Europe. So for example, you might be able to have a healthy meal, a nice Mediterranean diet meal that will be good for your health, and a cold glass of wine for just about 10 euros per person, for example. And there's just so much else to enjoy from the lifestyle here that is so much more affordable than anywhere else in the EU or in the Mediterranean. As I mentioned, this is Cyprus. It is an entire island nation. However, it is actually divided into two parts. So there's Northern Cyprus on the north half and the Republic of Cyprus on the southern half. And it's more or less a division right across the middle of the island. So it's pretty easy to understand geography. But essentially, Northern Cyprus, the upper half of the island, uses the Turkish lira. So it means that your US dollars or Canadian dollars are going to go so much further than they would if you were spending in euros. There is a caveat there for real estate that makes it just as affordable for people living there, but even more affordable for investors, which I'll get to in just a minute. But in the meantime, I just want to highlight all of the perks of the Mediterranean lifestyle that you can get here at such a lower price than you could get anywhere else. And I mean, the history. This is at the crossroads of every major civilization over thousands and thousands, if not millennia. It boasts incredible castles, charming little villages, miles of untouched sandy beaches. Personally, I think that Northern Cyprus has the most beautiful scenery in all of Cyprus. The southern half is actually, I think it suffered a little bit from being so overdeveloped over the past 100 years due to everything that it offers, whereas the northern half of the country was not developed. There was a hold on construction, on foreign purchases, on foreign investment in general, and it meant that the north is this pristine, untouched, very, very, very valued market versus the southern coast, which has been developed and developed and developed over, since the 50s and 60s, which, 60s and 70s weren't the best time in the world of architecture, So the South, I personally would say, doesn't have the greatest architecture. The cities aren't necessarily the prettiest, whereas in the North, you get these fantastic, historic, medieval era villages or cities that are just a blast from the past and so beautiful to walk around, open air museums. Plus, it has the whole island, has excellent universities. Education is one of its most profitable and most rapidly growing sectors. There are more than 100,000 foreign students living on the island, which means that there's always fresh blood. There's a lot of new money coming in from other countries and a guaranteed rental income. Student housing is one of the big markets on the island right now because they have so many students and not enough houses to put them in. Plus, as if that weren't enough, the island receives over 2 million visitors each year, which is about 5 times the local population. So short-term rental industry is very strong here, and nobody sees it going down anytime soon. It's been strong and steadily growing without any dips for 100 years or so now. So to put it in a nutshell, Northern Cyprus has all the ingredients for a dream retirement, but it also offers some really fantastic investment opportunities. Leif Simon, who is our lead investment expert here at Live and Invest Overseas, first visited the region in 2019 and reported that it was one of the single biggest profit opportunities I have known. And this is a guy who is invested in dozens of countries, currently owns property in a dozen, 10 to 15 different countries. It changes on a quarterly basis depending on what he's bought or what he's sold. But the point is, this guy knows his stuff. He has been investing internationally since the 90s and since he was in his 20s. And this guy has gotten in at the beginning of the curve of so many markets, including in Spain, in Argentina, Panama, the list really goes on. But he feels as strongly about this play in Cyprus, or generally the play that is Cyprus, as he did about Panama 30 years ago, where, property has now tripled, quintupled in value, if not more, since he started talking about it back in the 90s. So in the few years since he was there, as I say, he first visited in 2019. And in just those few years, COVID notwithstanding, let's not forget that little blip in the market in the middle there, prices have just soared. And readers who invested there early, back when he first reported on it, have enjoyed appreciation as much as 116% on their units. And I don't say this based on secondhand knowledge. In fact, this statistic includes myself, my own family. My husband and I invested in Cyprus in June 2022. We had just visited the island for the first time, and it impressed us so much, especially the northern half, both in terms of the culture and in terms of the investment value, that we decided to pony up and put our money where our mouth was. We bought a pre-construction penthouse loft in northern Cyprus, a little bit to the east of Kyrenia, for 87,825 pounds, British pounds. It's nearly built now, and it's already worth 170,000 in listings. The other apartments in the building of the same type that have been finished, or in different buildings that have been finished, are already listed and selling at that price. The building is actually set to welcome buyers and renters next month, which means that we went from pre-construction to renting in exactly 3 years. Plus, we received, or will receive, just a bit under 100% gains in those 3 years. So you really can't get any better than that in terms of the speed, the track record, and those profits. This is a proven market. We've already seen, and I've illustrated here, how property values have soared in the past few years. And early investors like myself have already doubled their money. And thanks to our trusted local contacts, we have found one of the last stretches of pristine, undeveloped coastline, and it is undoubtedly where the next major spike in property values is about to happen. And before I tell you a little bit more about that, I just want to put in a plug. If you're interested in knowing more about the investment potential of Cyprus in general, we can help you get to know this market personally, intimately, through our on-the-ground contacts. The local experts and service providers that we've been building relationships with over the past 5+ years can help you through the process and help you at every step of the way. They've done this with myself, including many other readers us who have bought, Leaf Simon included, the real estate maven that I was mentioning earlier. And really, it is such a turnkey, easy process. I recommend, if this has any interest for you at all, click on the link on the screen to put your name on the interest list so we can keep you up to date about Cyprus and all of the opportunities we are finding there in real time. All right, so back to Cyprus. It's, again, an island country, the Eastern Mediterranean, with a rich history spanning over 10,000 years. It's one of the oldest civilizations in the region, and you'll find a myriad of museums, historical sites, monuments, archaeological sites, and galleries here. So even though you're living on an island, you don't really have to worry about island fever. You know, you're still living a pretty cosmopolitan life. And this is a big island. I mean, it's not huge, but there are different cities to go to, different coasts to go to, and Greece and Turkey are right there. I know one couple who invested in the same development that we did, and they bought it for personal use, and they are very excited to be able to move in around this time next year. And the wife, Kathleen, says that she is most excited to be able to go to Istanbul whenever she wants to go shopping, which I would be really excited about too. Fantastic shopping in Turkey, especially in Istanbul. And because of the unique geographical position of Cyprus, you know, at the crossroads of these big three continents, Europe, Asia, Africa, the country is multilingual, multicultural, multi-religious. It's a very, very diverse culture. Our area of interest, which has low capital entry points and double-digit net rental yields, is in the northern and western parts of the island. This is, again, the best of a Mediterranean lifestyle, but at a much, much more attractive price. And so I mentioned in the beginning I was going to get back to that. The thing about the Turkish lira is that because it is such a low-value currency, your dollars are going to go so very far here, or your euros, or wherever you're coming from, are going to go really, really far on a day-to-day living point of view. However, property is priced in British pounds or in euros. So the value of your property is not subject to this fluctuating currency, the lira, this overinflated currency that can be a little bit up and down, which doesn't really matter if you're living there because you're spending, no matter what currency you're spending, it's more valuable than the lira. But it does matter if, for example, bought a property in lira and then the lira suddenly plummets and you're stuck with a property that you paid, you know, say $100,000, the equivalent of in lira, and then the lira drops and it's worth the equivalent of $10,000. You know, this has happened in other markets, but that is not a danger here because the property is always priced, valued, listed, bought, and sold in either British pounds or in euros. And I mentioned that it has a really strong tourism industry for all the reasons I've mentioned, including the cuisine, the beaches, the historical value, but it's also being more recently called the Las Vegas of the Mediterranean because as well as attracting sun worshipers, it has a really strong casino industry and a burgeoning medical tourism sector as well. So this island has so much going for it and has so many different reasons for people to make the trip here, and they all require short-term housing, which is the key to the investment side of things. All of this, of course, means an increase in demand for tourist accommodation. And so the northern half and the western side of the island, they're the strongest contenders for the really valuable and soon to be appreciated property investments. We delivered you an opportunity to snap up ocean view condo studio apartments in a new resort on the West Coast for as little as $110,000 or penthouse properties for as little as $200,000. The resort is rich in amenities. It has pools, a water sports club, a gym, a beach bar, sauna, steam rooms, restaurants, mini golf course, and plenty more. It's a hands-off investment. It's completely turnkey. The developer's team is available to help with rental management, concierge services, and more. So, for example, in my case, although I own a property that is set to be rented as of next month, I'm not getting on the phone. I'm not going on to Airbnb to list it. I'm not getting on the phone with renters. I am not contracting cleaners or property managers or anything. That is completely taken care of for me. So the most special thing, I guess, about Cyprus right now is that you don't need a crystal ball to know what's coming next. It's not a speculation. There's really not much guesswork going on right here, right now. The next big opportunity lies in Cyprus on the northern coast. and the as yet to be developed Western coast. We called it back in 2019 when our secret island destination was first making its claim as one of Europe's hotspots. Today, Condé Nast and other publications are hailing it as, quote, the hottest island in the Med. And this first wave of development that we helped see in 2019 or so really has transformed the northern coast. Property values here have more than doubled in the last 5 years. And this is what we know will happen on the western coast as well. So again, if you're interested in learning more about Cyprus in general, whether for lifestyle or for investment opportunity, please click that link on your screen or read more about these opportunities in the About section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this every week from Live and Invest Overseas. Have you been to Cyprus? Let us know in the comments what you think about this beautiful country. Happy trails.